Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. My name is Plami, and in this episode of Plami's Thought Zone, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on something that maybe you did not expect me to talk about. That being the newest season of Power Rangers Dino Fury. But before we get into my review for it, I do have to talk to you about my backstory with Power Rangers and how I felt about certain things in the past and certain seasons, so you kind of get to and understand where exactly I'm coming from in my opinion for this season. So, first off, my story with Power Rangers starts off when I was like 3 or 4 years old. It's basically as one of my earliest memories. But when I was that age, I remember watching Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder. I think I've watched both seasons because I feel like I have memories of both, but they're very fuzzy and from a long time ago, so I can't really tell you for sure. But I remember watching those seasons in my childhood, and I freaking loved them. Then after a while, for some reason, I didn't really keep watching. Maybe they didn't show them on TV because I was like very young. I barely have any memories from that time, but I kind of forgot that Power Rangers existed even. Then around, I think like 2007, 2008, I ended up watching 2 more seasons of Power Rangers, which was Overdrive and Mystic Force. And currently Overdrive stands as my favorite Power Rangers season. And note, I'm saying favorite, not the best, because a lot of people consider Overdrive the worst season. I personally think that's undeserved, and I feel like a lot of the hate for this season comes from a certain YouTuber who I vehemently disagree about his opinion on Overdrive. I'm not saying Overdrive is a perfect season, but it's not the worst season. That title definitely goes to Megaforce. So yeah, those 4 seasons have a special place in my heart, and I love them. And honestly, as a whole, I freaking love the Disney era of Power Rangers because I've seen reviews of those seasons, specifically Lin Cara's reviews of those seasons, so I pretty much know everything about those seasons, even though I haven't watched them myself. And I honestly find the most enjoyment out of the Disney era. I feel like it has the biggest range of ideas, concepts, characters, tones. Like every single seasons in the Disney era has its own feel, I feel like. Something which the original Saban seasons like Mighty Morphin to Wild Force, I don't know if we consider it Disney or Saban, but those old seasons don't really have a different tone for each season. It feels kind of the same. And the new Saban era has the exact same problem where all the seasons feel the same in tone. And this problem is still kind of continuing in the Hasbro era, but I feel like it's improving, and I'm gonna get into it in a little bit. But so yeah, I love the Disney era, and I love Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder, Operation Overdrive, and Mystic Force. Then again, for a few years, I completely forgot that Power Rangers was a thing, and I didn't really watch new seasons until Samurai happened. I actually stumbled upon it randomly, and back then I couldn't even speak English, so it was only showing in English, so I couldn't really watch it that much. But the first thing that intrigued me about that season was actually the fact that the main character was called Jaden, because another favorite character of mine from a completely different series, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, is named Jaden, so that's the first thing that kind of interested me into that season. But I honestly ended up loving it, even though, again, this is another season that people love to hate. I actually enjoyed it a lot, but anything after that hasn't really been great for me. I feel like it was very dumbed down for like 3-year-olds or something. It feels like the show kind of went for the baby category, not really the early teen or like kid category, which I feel like is one of the biggest problems about the new Saban era, and it's one of the problems that I don't really understand. Why Saban was so... Why did he push for something like that? Maybe it wasn't necessarily specifically him, but for me that's one of the biggest problems with that era, that it's so childlike and dumbed down. I don't know. And it doesn't make sense to me why he would push for something like that, because his original era, the original Saban era, is probably one of the most mature timed things Power Rangers has done. Like, back in the second half of his era with seasons like In Space, especially from In Space going forward, the show feels like it became more like a show like Doctor Who, where it's not really for kids only, but it's not really for adults either. It's kind of like for general audiences. And honestly, that's the thing that kind of made me like those seasons, despite the fact that they're Saban seasons, because his seasons have a certain sterile tone that I don't really like, especially coming off of seasons from the Disney era, which I feel like have the biggest variety in tones, character settings, concepts and everything. But I did enjoy his second half of his original era. But the new Saban era is fucking garbage. I'm sorry, but it's garbage. I hate almost every season in it, and if I don't hate it, I don't really enjoy it either. In the case of like Dino Charge, which is a pretty light season, I can see why, but for me it's still not really something that I enjoy that much. I can recognize that it's good, but it's not really enjoyable to me. So here comes the Hasbro era. I was pretty excited when I heard that Hasbro was gonna take the ownership of the franchise from Saban, because I wasn't really enjoying the Saban seasons, new Saban seasons, and I want to like Power Rangers because I fucking like them. I liked them as a child, and I like them even now. So I was pretty excited going forward for it, but after watching the first episode of Beast Morphers, it was definitely an improvement over the new Saban era, but it still had a lot of the problems from that. Like, the tone is still dull and bland. The characters are still not as mature and realistic as in the Disney era, and I don't know, it just didn't really feel like it. And the fact that I didn't really like the morphing sequence, it just, for some reason, the first episode didn't really grab me as much as I was hoping it was. It was an improvement over what we had in the previous few seasons, but it was still not that great, honestly. It wasn't. It really wasn't. So I wasn't really hopeful about this next season of Power Rangers, Dino Fury, but honestly, it fucking blew me away the second I saw it. So far, I've watched all 3 episodes that have been released, and I fucking love all of them. And I'm honestly shocked at myself by how much I actually give a shit about it. Because, as I said, I tried watching Beast Morphers. I watched like 2 episodes, and I couldn't keep up. I was just bored. I've seen another episode, which I think is the episode in which Steel is born, which is a character in Beast Morphers. But that's pretty much it. I haven't really... But that's pretty much it. I haven't really watched anything else about it. But watching these 3 episodes of Dino Fury, I feel the same way I used to feel when I watched Power Rangers as a child. That excitement is there. And I think that is because they're doing a lot of things in similar ways to that era, and they're calling back to that era in a lot of ways as well. I feel the music in this season, which is probably my favorite thing, that I love that it has been improved, but the music in this season is fucking amazing. I don't really recall any good or interesting soundtrack from any of the new Saban era. So I wasn't really expecting anything like this, but I've loved the music in this season. I don't necessarily think that it fits with the theme of the season, but it's a good music nonetheless. I would definitely prefer if it was used in Beast Morphers, because Beast Morphers was more of a scientifically based season, while in the case of Dino Fury, it's based on Dino power. So having a techno sounding track doesn't really fit with it, but I've grown to kind of love it. It works in a really weird way, but I kind of like it. The theme song, at first I was bothered by it. It felt like a worse version of Beast Morphers theme, which I was also not really a big fan of. It's catchy in the part that the singer of the track actually sings, but it's way too short as well. But yeah, at first I was bored by it, but it definitely grew on me, and I love the evolution, revolution. That part of the song, I love it. It's really good. And as we're talking about the music, let's talk also about the morphing sequence, because I feel like the morphing sequence is one of the biggest improvements over a lot of the morphing sequences from the last seasons, and it feel like you feel the music improvement the most in it, because first of all, again, I haven't really been a big fan of the morphing sequences in the last few seasons. The last one that I liked was in Samurai, and it's mainly because of the writing on the symbol and the slap that makes it really look cool, because afterwards it's still better than the other Neo Saban seasons, but it's still not as good as something like Operation Overdrive, which in my opinion has one of the best, if not the best, morphing sequence that we've seen in Power Rangers. The thing that has bothered me the most about the morphing sequences in the Neo Saban era is the use of the stupid black suit that the characters that are morphing are wearing. I don't understand why they're wearing it. It looks disgusting. It's way too skin tight. It makes me feel weird, and it just looks weird, and I don't like it. I would much prefer if the characters had some kind of uniform, or if they actually put the effort to morph them over the clothes that the characters are actually wearing. And this is still a thing in these seasons, but I feel like they're not really focusing on it as much, and they're not really showing it as much, so I'm glad about that. But the morphing sequence itself is just so much better than it's so much better than the last few morphing sequences. It's nothing too special, and it's still nowhere near my favorite sequences, which are like the Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder, Operation Overdrive morphing sequences. Those are my favorite, and also Samurai, as I said. But it's pretty good, and it makes me hopeful for the future that we're gonna get some better morphing sequences as well. But yeah, I kind of like the fact that they're spinning the morpher. It looks pretty cool. But the thing that I love about the morphing sequence is definitely the slap of the ground. It's so badass, and the way it goes with the music, which in that moment when they slap the ground, it has like a deep drop in the bass. I love that. It hits so hard. It's so badass. And the way they take a fighting stance after doing that, I love it. It's so badass. And then they jump in the sky, so it's not them just standing and morphing. No, they jump in the sky, and the suits form around them. It's just so freaking cool, and such a creative. It's so much more creative than what we've had in the last few seasons. I fucking love it. It's very similar or reminiscent of the morphing sequences from the Disney era, which I feel like were the most creative by far. The fighting music also has improved. I guess we should talk about that as well. I feel I just haven't really had any songs from the Neo Saban era that has really stuck out for me during the fighting sequence. I don't think they've necessarily been bad, but in the Disney era, I feel like the music during the fighting sequence was so much better, especially during the latter half of the Disney era. And especially sounds like having the drums during the battle. It's something that we haven't had in a long time. So the second I heard it in the first episode when Zyto started fighting, which is the Raid Ranger, I just felt this wave of nostalgia that I really love. And I feel like the music has been consistently great so far. I guess we also should talk a little bit about the characters so far. We have the villain so far that is only one, who is called Void Knight, and I want to point out how similar in look and behavior he is to Korak from Mystic Force. I'm sure that that's a similarity that a lot of people have pointed out, but I feel like I also had to point it out. But so far I like him. He's a pretty interesting villain. He's not a generic growly voice villain, so there's that. Hopefully he's not gonna end up being something really boring, but I feel like my guess so far he's probably gonna end up being the silver or gold. I don't know which one you should call him, because he does have a blue and gold streak, so I guess I'm assuming that he's gonna become the Gold Ranger, because apparently in this team we're also gonna have both silver and a Gold Ranger, which cool, I guess. It's interesting that we're gonna have a Green Ranger, a Black Ranger, a Silver Ranger, and a Gold Ranger. I think this is a combination that we haven't had so far, you know? I hope, you know what, I really, really hope if we do actually get a Silver and a Gold Ranger, because I'm pretty sure we do. I haven't really looked at Ryu Soldier, which is the Super Sentai version of this season. But if we do get both a Silver and a Gold Ranger, I hope one of them is a girl, because I feel like it's going to be really cool if we actually have the team split evenly between guys and girls, although I guess it's still not going to be the case because it's going to be 7 Rangers, so it's going to be 4 guys and 3 girls, because otherwise it's going to be 5 guys and 2 girls. I don't know. But yeah, my theory going forward is probably going to end up being one of the good guys, similarly to Korak from Mystic Force again, but he's probably going to be the Silver Ranger, the Gold Ranger. That's my guess. For the other characters, I only kind of want to talk about the Rangers, because there's nothing much that we've gotten other than them that is interesting, that I have anything to talk about. So for the Rangers, my least favorite Ranger is definitely Ollie. It's not that he's bad, but he just doesn't have interesting qualities compared to Amelia and Zyto. He's just kind of the geek slash nerd slash smart science guy of this team, which is fine, but I don't like how they're stereotyping the Blue Ranger as not only the science guy, but also the kind of minority character Ranger. Like, it's not that I have a problem with having minority Rangers or anything like that. Please don't take it in that direction. I just wish that they actually kind of switched it around from season to season. Because, like, think about it. When was the last time we actually had a white Blue Ranger? If I remember correctly, it was in RPM. It's been a while, you know? It's not that I want to see an all-white team or anything like that. I just want to see a more variety between the different colors. I don't want one color to be stereotyped as one thing. That's my problem with this. Because it really strikes you when you think about all the last Blue Ranger themes. So in the last season, I don't really know what Ravi was, but I guess you can count his minority status into that, but not really a big deal. But before that, in Ninja Steel, we had a nerd or geek, I guess. In Dino Charge, who was the Blue Ranger? Was there a Blue Ranger even? I actually don't remember whether there was a Blue Ranger or not. Oh, it was Koda. I guess that was a little bit of a different character, but again, he was a little bit of a minority character. Before that, we have in Megaforce Noah, who was a nerd, and there was Kevin in Samurai, who again is a minority, and then all the way back in RPM we actually have a white Blue Ranger. So it's not about having like all white team or the fact that the character is not white per se. It's just the fact that we've had a minority character consistently for like 6 seasons, and I want a little bit of a switch up from season to season, you know. I guess let's continue with the other characters. My second favorite would be Zyto. So far, I like his backstory of being an alien knight who has hibernated for 65 million years. Like, I kind of feel like his backstory is very similar to Tyzone from Overdrive and Orion from Megaforce. But I guess the one difference that kind of makes it a little bit more interesting is the fact that he is the main Red Ranger. He's the leader. So, I don't know. I hope there's more to his backstory that we're going to learn that's going to make him stand a little bit more from Tyzone and Orion. But so far he is kind of similar to them. And the only difference being their Ranger color. But I do like him. He's a pretty interesting character so far. And the fact that he's an alien and he's the leader, it's pretty cool. And the fact that he actually has a visible difference from humans kind of definitely makes it feel more like there's a difference, that he is not just another alien Ranger. Because Tyzone was an alien, Orion was an alien as well, you know? but they both look like humans, so I don't know. But yeah, this is gonna be definitely a popular opinion from what I've seen, but Amelia, the Pink Ranger, is definitely my favorite character so far. She is, to me personally, she is right off the bat interesting because she has a unique quality in which she believes in the paranormal, and I actually hope they keep that part of her character going forward, because Power Rangers a lot of times tends to introduce some stuff and forget about them by the next episode. So I hope that they actually keep this aspect of her character going forward, because I really liked it. We haven't kind of had anything like this so far, so it differentiates her from other Rangers, and I really am curious to see where she's going to grow as a character, because so far she's very likable. She is in some ways very relatable because she's apparently kind of a YouTuber, or I mean, the best way to say it is YouTuber, but she works for like some kind of website called BuzzBlast, so it's more similar to like being iCarly, I guess, or being on BuzzFeed, but let's call her YouTuber. So I kind of relate to her in that regard as a YouTuber. So she's definitely really interesting, and I'm pretty sure that that's a popular opinion, that everybody likes her a lot. But yeah, I'm curious where she's gonna go going forward as a character. In terms of the acting, again, I feel like it's an improvement over the last season, even though the last season, I mean, it's not that it was bad, but there wasn't anything genuinely like it felt good. While this season, the acting, in these first few episodes, I feel like there are moments where it's a little wooden, but I feel like as the actors get into their roles, they're gonna get better, so we're not gonna have as many wooden moments. But yeah, so far it's really good, and it's kind of refreshing how in these first 3 episodes, they've actually took time to do things that haven't been done so far, or not as much, because like in Beast Morphers, in the first few episodes, they had an episode in which they were learning how to combine the Megazords together, while in Dino Fury they actually had the characters practice their morphing sequences, which is really cool, because you know, it's easy to look past as a Power Ranger fan, but one would question, why do they suddenly know how to morph every single time? Like in every single new Power Ranger season, they instantly know how to morph, which is not really believable. So we never see them practice it, they just kind of know it. So it's cool to see them practice it, actually. And another really cool thing is that they actually try to take out the big monsters without the Zords. Like, that really surprised me that they did that. And it seems that they done the same thing in Super Sentai, so part of these ideas that I'm praising about Dino Fury are probably praises for Ryusourja as well, but a praise is a praise. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, and I'm genuinely invested in what's happening. I'm gonna keep watching going forward. Although, I gotta say, unless I really want to, I can't promise you that I'm gonna keep reviewing the episodes going forward, because I already reviewed The Walking Dead weekly. I'm gonna start reviewing The Flash weekly as well, most likely, and I feel like it's gonna become too much, especially with all the other types of videos that I want to do, so I don't want to really overwork myself. So unless there's something that I really want to talk about, like whenever the Green and the Black Ranger get introduced, or if we get a really cool story development, I'm probably not going to review every single episode going forward, because as you can see, even now, I've waited for the 3 episodes to happen before I review it, although that's more because of laziness, not because I wanted to do that, because I wanted to do a video right after the first episode, because it really blew me away how much I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's a surprisingly good season. For the first time in a long time, I actually give a shit enough to keep watching it weekly, and I hope that sticks, because it's gonna be great to finally enjoy a Power Rangers seasons for once, especially with the state of mind and the knowledge that I have nowadays, because I haven't really watched a Power Rangers season from the perspective of a writer that I have right now. Because for those of you who don't know, which is probably most of you, I actually am a writer. I've been writing my own story over on Wattpad, you can check it out. I don't want to say that it's anything crazy or anything like that, but I've been doing it and I'm really enjoying it, and I feel like I've gained a lot of perspective about how writing happens, how character development happens, and I don't know, I'm more able to understand what the writers are intending to tell me or show me more than I would have been otherwise, you know? So yeah, the fact that I'm also enjoying the season, despite the fact that I can see all the little tricks that writers would pull to kind of, like the fact that I'm enjoying this season, despite the fact that I can notice plot holes more and dumb moments more, I think speaks volumes for how good this season is, because it's also not just focusing on pandering to kids, it's trying to be more for like all ages, like being able to satisfy older fans as well as younger ones. So I'm really loving that. In terms of its rating, how I would rate it so far, it's the first 3 episodes, so I don't want to really go too overboard with the rating, but so far, especially compared to the last few seasons, I honestly want to give it like a 8.9 out of 10, because I'm really enjoying it, but I still hope that going forward, and maybe with the future series after Dino Fury, it's gonna get even better and better and more stand out, just like the Disney era. Yeah, so far it's an 8.9 out of 10. The rating is probably gonna change going forward because we're gonna have more characters introduced and some dumb things are probably gonna happen, some good things are gonna happen, so it might change, but so far I'm really enjoying it and I really can't wait to see more of it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Also, check out the description to my Twitter if you want to follow me there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you haven't enjoyed my stories, or you simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to Patreon where I can pledge your support and help get the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think it's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!